So I just want to say a couple disclaimers before we get started. We will be recording, so smile pretty. And then the chat function will be widely used, so make yourself familiar, but also be appropriate. We can remove you. So with that, the show goes on. Dustin, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. I think we have one of the most beautiful days we've had all week. No humidity, the sun's starting to go down. I mean, it's a beautiful breeze.
I agree. Couldn't have asked for better weather.
Couldn't ask for better. So
cool. So we've got our grills preheated to approximately 400.
Perfect. So yeah, you know, I was gonna kind of do it like a start, you know, walk you through the whole process. You know, from how we get our Cornish game on, how we set up our grill, a little bit about marinating. We're going to talk a little bit about seasoning, grill setups, and then I'll get to the cooking in a little bit. If that works, and that's kind of the route that we're going to take.
Perfect.
So the first product we have that we're going to start with, everybody knows, is we're cooking a premium Cornish game hen by Tyson. And, you know, this is an incredible product. It's 100% all natural. No artificial ingredients, and then no added hormones or steroids. So I called in a favor to a friend today out at Ohio State University because I want to be like, okay, you know, what is a Cornish game hen? Because to me, I just think Cornish game hen, you think it's just, you know, it's a small bird, which it really is. They're 2 pounds and under. They're typically, you know, they're about 5 to 6 weeks old. They don't really get much older than that. And then for it to be considered a Cornish game hen, it has to be a cross between a Cornish chicken and then any other breed of chicken. So if it's not, it's just considered like I believe you told me it was a fryer. But you know, that's kind of about a Cornish game hen. So, you know, simple, but it's just a small bird. Ultimately, is what it is. So, you know, so we got these in. They came in. You know, when we're shopping at Jewel, these are in the freezer section, which is fine. It's perfect. You know, the one thing we like to talk about though is when you're getting a frozen product is there is a proper way to thaw things, and leaving it out on your counter is the 100% wrong way. The best way to do it is to put it in your fridge and let it slowly come up to temperature. The second way is to run it under cold water. And the reason being is one is for your own safety and health. But what happens is when you freeze this meat, the ice crystals that are in the meat, we know meat is like 70, like an incredible amount of water. But what happens is when you handle it improperly, those ice crystals in the meat, they actually crack. And that's what it causes your meat to get like spongy, and it doesn't really hold together that well. So, you know, thawing, not only for your safety, but also for the integrity of your meat, you want to keep it together that way. So, you know, simple. Put it in your fridge and you got nothing to worry about. If you forget about it, you can run it under cold water. So two ideas there. So here's our chicken though, or here's our Cornish game hen, and we're gonna marinate these. But in order to marinate them, we're gonna do it 2 different ways. The first way is whole. So simple. We have our whole little chicken. We have our butcher's twine. Now, if you're looking for this, typically where I find this in most stores and Jewel's, it's in the deli section. You know, you just kind of have to walk around there. I found that on spindles, that kind of stuff. What I like to do is I take a butcher's twine, and this is probably about 8 inches long. I like to tie the legs together. This just kind of holds the chicken in place, and it just makes it like a nice uniform shape. So simple. We tied it up. That's about what we have. So you kind of see how small this thing is. I'll try to get a little closer. The second thing I like to do is just fold the wings back, and that just kind of makes it look just like this. So, you know, that's what we're going to do with it. That's our first preparation. The second preparation we call is a spatchcock. And the reason people typically have spatchcock, which is opening up your chicken, is for time of cook. By spatchcocking a chicken ultimately cuts down on your cook time. And if you're cooking it direct, it'll give you a little bit crispier skin depending on the heat that you're using. So we have our chicken. I'm looking at the breast of it right here. We have our sternum running in the front. What I'm looking to do is cut the backbone out. So I flip it over. I can see our neck right here. This is the part that I want to cut out. So I'll take our poultry shears and I just kind of cut straight down the back of it. And this is the piece that I'm going to take out.
There you go.
What I'll then
I think that was,
do is like take this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think that was the most traumatizing part for me was cutting that out. But it's always fun. I know it tastes good.
You know, you're going to get more caramelization on your food by putting the skin side down when we go to cook it. It's just going to add that extra layer of flavor that we'll talk about. So what I then like to do though, so now that I have it opened up, is I'll put it onto our cutting board, and I just want to push it flat. And all this is doing is just opening up. It's adding more surface area that we're going to be able to get to our grill. So same thing, I'll tuck the wings. And then we're on to marinating. So this is just a kind of quick 2-step process for each one of these, where one of them gets tied, one of them gets clipped. Marinating, we're gonna do them the same way. You know, I like to marinate. Some people marinate in a bowl. I'll typically marinate in a bag. And the reason being is, with a bag, you're not gonna use as much marinade. You're also able to flip it around, turn it around without, you know, having to put your hands into the chicken. So what I do is I just take these two, I drop them right in.
There you go.
And then now we're using our teriyaki. So this is a Kikkoman teriyaki marinated sauce. I mean, it's just a beautiful marinade. It's delicately flavored, sweet. I mean, not only does it work on chicken, but it's great for steaks, ribs, chops. I mean, just beautiful. So we're going to take this, we're going to pour some of this into our bag. Sorry, I just want to clean up a hint here. I'm not a big fan of all this. Okay, so I take this and we're just going to put this right into the bag. So if I'm looking to have any additives, to like add any extra flavors to this, one of the other products that we have here that I love, because, you know, some people like their food a little bit more spicy, some don't like it as spicy. We have our beautiful Tabasco, our hot sauce. You know, Tabasco is another great product. It's so versatile. You know, 3 ingredients: red peppers, a premium vinegar, and salt. It's aged in oak barrel for up to 3 years. I mean, it's just incredible that it'll add that nice little, you know, not over the top, but a nice little bit of heat that blends so well with this teriyaki sauce to kind of hit you on both ends. So we'll take some of this. We'll add that to our bag. We're going to swirl it around. I like to press the air out of the bag as much as I can, because then I can just kind of do like this. We take it, we'll put it into our bowl and marinate it. Now, the thing when you're marinating with teriyaki is we know that it's soy sauce, that it's salt, it's sodium. Typically, salt penetrates meat at a rate of about 1 inch every day. If you look at how thick these are, they're about 1 inch. So, you know, we put into the recipe when we were talking about this, we're gonna marinate for maybe 4 hours on the low ends, no more than like 24 hours on the high end. And what this is gonna do is the salt penetrates the meat, but it also, so it tenderizes and it adds flavor. And the meat is actually gonna be more moist because salt holds, it's kind of like the way it works is it holds the water molecules. So when it penetrates the meat, it's gonna help it hold the water and the moisture when you're grilling and cooking. So, you know, it's, I mean, incredible to work with. So now I'm going to pull one of those made for TV kind of things. These are the ones that we did probably about 5-6 hours ago. You know, and how long you leave it in the marinade is ultimately up to you. You know, for me, I like to go about 6 hours. It seems to be the perfect amount. Some people like to go longer. Some people like to go less. You know, it's what it is. So we had these ones that we marinated. We're going to kind of leave these alone now. I'm going to kind of go through and talk a little bit about grill setup. Been talking a lot. I need a little bit.
Here, I'll take some. Oh, what you got there? What you drinking? Anything special?
I'm drinking my favorite, my VOSS Water.
There
you go. I mean, it's another incredible product, another partner of ours. You know, it's just incredibly refreshing. I mean, on extremely hot days. Still water, there's the carbonated waters, we have the sparklings, you know, we have a tangerine lemongrass, a raspberry rose, strawberry ginger. You know, it pretty much, you can run the gamut with them, and any different type of flavor that you're looking for. If somebody's looking for something, they've pretty much covered it. And if not, you know, and we like to talk about it, if not, you can always add your own. Nothing like adding a little grilled fruit to it.
There you
You know,
go.
we have these fruit infusers that you just kind of drop
Yeah.
in the top of your bottle. I mean, yeah, grill your fruit, drop it in your bottle, and you do your own. So, I mean, you can kind of, you can purchase it, you can make it. As long as you're using the VOSS, you're good.
There you go. Yeah, I love the fruit infuser. It actually comes in our giveaway bag. So for all the viewers out there, we have been doing giveaway bags. So if you want one, shoot me an email through the RSVP link or stephanie@gtuniverse.com. One of the other things we want to talk about while we're here is the Tabasco gift crate. We'll be doing trivia in the chat. So the first 2 people that answer the questions correctly get one of these. I'm kind of jealous. I want to keep this one. But anyways, so we'll get back to the show.
So when we initially, sorry
about that, Dustin. We have a few questions about the marinating process. So they're asking, Dustin is using a thinner sauce and Stephanie's using a glaze. Which one is better to use?
they're kind of the same. Yeah, you know, they're both teriyaki based. One's a little bit thicker, one's a little bit thinner. They're both ultimately going to do the same thing. What I like with the thicker one, and what happens when you use, you know, even like whether it's this teriyaki or the glaze itself, is when the salt is penetrating the meat, it's pulling moisture out of it. So it's actually going to thin itself out as it's marinating, you know, just from the moisture and the water content of your chicken or meat or whatever else you're trying to do with it. So you can kind of go with other. The thicker one I do find it's awesome for glazing at the end because it's already thickened itself and you don't have to worry about it adhering to your meat. So it really just depends on which way you want to go.
Great. And then one other question, how does vacuum sealing impact how fast the protein marinates?
Wow. I'd honestly like to give you an answer, but I really honestly don't know. We can look into it, and if they want to send us an email, if they want to send you guys an email or send me an email, we can do some research and find out.
Yeah.
But something I always talk to is I don't like to give somebody a wrong answer just to give an answer. I'd rather find the right answer and get that to the person.
I like that. But so we do the marinade and we press all the air out so we save on marinade. Is that correct?
Correct. You know, you can kind of see in our
Awesome.
bag right here, you know, we're up to about right here, and I have all this space right here. And that's just so I can turn it over, move it around, and make sure that I'm constantly, you know, every hour, 2 hours, just give it a flip, you know, and the marinade's going to redistribute, and it's going to cover a new part of the hen, and it's going to, you know, just ultimately put more flavor in.
Awesome. Cool.
So now we're to the cooking part. So we talked when we got on is we're looking for about 400 degrees, you know, we're talking a 2-zone heat. So with our Summit, you know, I'm cooking on a Summit 670 for a gas grill. I have a Master Touch for a charcoal grill. If I'm talking gas grill and we're setting 2-zone, for this one, I set it up in, I have burners that are, our left side is on, our right side, I turned it off. You could have your middle ones off and your outside on. It's really a personal preference. Ultimately, it depends, you know, you're looking to cook by the temperature, like, you know, in our recipe, we set it's 400. So that's what we got, or 350 to 450, but I'm locked in at 400. You know, with this being a Cornish game hen or a poultry product, it tends to be a little bit more fatty. I did put a drip pan in the bottom of the grill to kind of catch some of that stuff. I didn't put any water in it. I just put a pan in to help collect some of those, the runoff that we might get. But our grill's set. So what I did is I turned this grill on high. I preheated it all the way up so that I can clean my grates. I don't want any of that stuff left over from the last time I cooked. And then I turned the grill down. So with this specific grill, I'm a little bit over a quarter on these 4 burners, and I'm set on the temperature. So that's our preheat procedure. That's what we did to get this thing ready to cook on. Our charcoal grill, a little bit different. You know, they tend to be a little bit, you know, charcoal's just different. For this one, I don't know, you can see it. So we have these lighter cubes. It's a paraffin wax cube, kind of like a wickless candle. I take 2 of these, I put them in the bottom of our grill. I take our chimney starter. This is a rapid fire chimney starter. I fill it about 2/3 full with charcoal. I light our wax cubes and I set our chimney on top. This is going to start smoking. Ultimately, it's like a built-in timer. When the smoke clears, I'm going to take a peek over the lip and I'm going to look at our charcoal. That's going to kind of tell me that it's ready to dump. If you still see smoke coming out of this, your charcoal's not ready, and it's going to impart a flavor into your food that you don't want. Paraffin wax doesn't impart any flavor. It's flavorless. It's pretty much scentless as well. No smoke, you're ready to go. So what I did with our charcoal grill then is I put our charcoal towards the back part of it. I left our front open. So I have our 2-zone, our direct in the back, our indirect in the front. And then I adjust our dampers on the top. I'm wide open on our dampers on the bottom. I adjust temperature by the damper on the top. A question I get from people a lot is, if I put more charcoal in, am I going to get more high heat out of my charcoal grill? The answer is no. How much air runs through the grill is going to dictate how hot it's going to get, not how much charcoal you put in there. And the grill can only take so much air coming up through the bottom. It's kind of like a vacuum effect. The damper in the top is open. It's pulling air up out of the bottom. It's going to circulate in the grill and then go out. So how much charcoal we have in there doesn't matter. That's why we kind of say 2/3 is our way to go. So, any questions so far anymore?
Yes, we have a few questions. What is your favorite way to clean the grill to ensure that nothing is sticking?
High heat. You know, the biggest thing about cleaning a grill is that you want to, even with your charcoal grill, once I dump the charcoal, I'm going to wait about 10, 15 minutes. It depends on how dirty it is when I walk out to it. Sometimes it's more dirty than other times. So I'll preheat it to make sure that I carbonize everything that is in the grill. And when I say carbonize it, I mean burn it. Burn it to a dust. Because what happens is, if you leave some of that, say, fat, that residual fat that might be left stuck on your grates, and you don't burn it to that black, like that's going to turn into powder, all it's going to do is it's going to stick in your brush. And eventually, like really soon, like the first or second use, it's just going to, you may as well throw your brush away, because it's just going to be full of all the gunk that you didn't clean your grill off, properly with the first time. So I just like to go with this really high heat, turn it to dust and then brush. And that's that simple way. Same thing with the gas, with our Summit.
Perfect. And then one other question, what is the hottest the 670 can get to?
Oh, wow. Well, we have 750 on the thermometer. I can't say that I've ever gone above about 600, and I know people are really excited about high heat, and we hear it all the time, like, how hot can things get? For me, I'm more about what can if I want to cook something, and I don't want to say properly, but if I want to be able to caramelize something and cook it to the doneness I want, what's that temperature that's going to ideally do that for me? I found, like, and when I say 600, I'm talking about like a thin skirt steak or something that's about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, because it's going to be a quick cook. So I'll cook it at like 600 degrees. The outside of the protein is going to caramelize, and then it's going to cook my inside to a nice doneness, versus if I'm at a lower temperature, I'm not going to get that caramelization on the outside before the inside is the temperature, the doneness that I want to take it off. So.
Perfect. And one other question here, do you recommend a non-stick spray so that the food won't stick to the grill?
Non-stick spray, it depends on what type of non-stick spray it is. A lot of times what happens with non-stick sprays is, we never recommend spraying your grate or rubbing anything on your grate. We always talk about it of rubbing the oil on your food and not the grate. The biggest thing about it is, one, like if I have, I have a spray here, is if I spray this aerosol at my grill, it catches fire, it might pull the heat out of it. It might, you have a flamethrower accident, all that kind of stuff. The other part of it is if you're putting it on your grates, all it's doing is dripping through the grates and into your grease pan. Eventually, if you forget about it, it's going to make a mess. We put it right on our food, and ultimately, if you preheat your grill, you oil your food, it shouldn't stick. Now, depending on what kind of oil you're going to use, we'll talk to using like, I have our oil here that we're about to hit this chicken with. It's an olive oil. It's not an extra virgin olive oil. It's a regular olive oil. but that's, you know, what we use. But what I was talking to is that, like, the smoke point is of the oil. You use an oil that has a lower smoke point, it's going to burn faster than an oil like a regular olive oil that has a higher smoke point, and you'll get nice caramelization.
Awesome.
So I'm taking these out of the marinade now, and then I'm gonna oil these up and season them. You know, the last thing we talk about with, you know, the seasoning of them is, you know, when we're using a soy sauce based or a teriyaki, the one thing we want to do is make sure we don't over season our food. I still want to put a little salt on these, but I don't want to use as much as I normally would, just because of the fact that we already have the sodium and the salt that we marinated it in. So you don't want to overdo it. So I hit them with our oil. I have a little bit of a, you know, typically I use the kosher salt and the black pepper. I have a blend right here that I put into a shaker. I'm going to just kind of hit this a little light over the top, make sure I hit it on all sides. And you can kind of see I did these pretty light. You can kind of see by the specks of the pepper, you know, they're pretty light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on. I'm going to take our spatchcock one. I'm going to cook it on our gas grill. I'm going to take our whole one and I'm going to cook it on our charcoal grill.
No picture. I don't know. It says launching.
So are we how long are we cooking these, Dustin? Ta-da. I did that incorrectly. They're almost sticky. All right, I'm gonna put mine on here. We'll do one there. Awesome. Did we lose Dustin?
Oh, I is muted.
Oh no.
So they can hear us?
Yes.
They can hear us?
Yes. I'll see. Remember, I told you.
Hold on
Hi.
1 second. Hi.
Awesome.
What's the phone?
Dave, would you quit talking to me?
Second here.
But yeah, so I just put my first one on and it's going really well. I'm gonna put the second one on in a second, but I believe, and Dustin will be able to correct me in a minute, I put it on direct heat first, and then we're gonna do indirect heat second. So that's where that's at right now. And,
There we go. He's unmuted.
ta-da! All right, Dustin, are you back on?
I'm back on. I'm going to get right back here.
All right.
Okay. So when I put these on the grill and we were talking about preheating properly, like I heard a nice sizzle, you know, and that sizzle is that, that skin side hitting the grill. If you don't hear a sizzle, you probably didn't heat your grill up enough. And what's going to happen is your food's going to stick. So when you hear that sizzle, you know that the oil that we put on the protein or the meat is you know, it's starting to cook, but it's giving that separation that we want, you know, for it.
Exactly.
So I set our timer. I talked about it. I put 10 minutes on our timer. I'm going to take a peek at these in about 10 minutes. I'm not going to open the lid at all. You know, we know the temperature on our grill is good. The grill's going to do what it's going to do or what it's supposed to do. But, you know, with Weber's, the lid is, you know, it's supposed to be down. If you're looking, ain't cooking, you know, when it comes down to it.
I like that. Looking ain't cooking. All right.
So, yeah, and it's a natural convection. So the heat's in there and it's just kind of circulating and doing what it's supposed to do. And the meat's on the grill and it's cooking away and doing that. So.
And which side did you guys put down first?
I put skin side down first. So, and then if we're talking about our charcoal grill, and I did kind of something similar with this one. With these Cornish game hens being a little bit smaller, what we're going to do with this is we're going to do a direct, and then an indirect finish. So we're going to give it a single flip halfway through. But what I'm looking to do is just kind of caramelize and cook that skin, you know, and get a nice, you know, nice color to it, break down, render some of that fat before we pull it indirect, and then just let it finish with that convection heat that's rolling in that grill. So same thing, 10 minutes. We'll go, and then we'll flip it over. We'll go a little bit longer, and then we'll pull it off and let it rest.
All right. Sounds like a
So,
plan.
well, it's one of those things, and people ask me how long does it take to cook something, and typically you tell them, and it's the worst possible answer, but you say till it's done. It's a terrible answer, but the hard part is you don't know you give a range on what people are going to cook to. Unless I know the exact temperature that somebody's cooking at, the exact thickness of their food, and an idea of like how long it's been out of the refrigerator, I still can't give you an exact time. I can give you a pretty good range of an idea, but there's the exact part of it. That's crazy. That's hard. So.
All right. So range, so 8 to 10 or higher or lower? What you thinking?
With the direct, we'll go an actual hard 10 minutes. The indirect part of it is when we're trying to finish, is where we're not going to be sure of how long it's going to take to get that far. I think when we were cooking these earlier, it was maybe another 10 to 14 minutes ish, but it's the same thing. It's like about this. I mean, the great thing with the Cornish game hen is we know that these are all within about an ounce of each other. So they're pretty much all the same size. When you have things of variable weights and thicknesses, that's when it's going to change.
Exactly. Yeah, it's nice because they're pretty consistent.
Yeah. So then it's just about patience, and that's the hard part. Is as many times as I want to open this grill up and look, it's really just about letting the grill do its thing and letting the meat and cook the way it's supposed to and go.
All right.
We have another question here. They're asking, which side would you lay it on first if you were cooking it on a charcoal grill?
Still the skin side, definitely the skin side, and I would go skin side on everything for cooking Cornish game hens. What we want to do is, as the cooking process is starting, we want to get that fat cold out of the refrigerator so that it doesn't stick to the grill. If you're going to take it and you put it open side with the bone side down, what's going to happen is that skin starts to break down from the heat of the grill. And when you go to flip it over, it's not going to have that nice separation that you're going to get from starting it skin side down. So then it's going to stick and it might make a mess for you. So I always typically like to go skin side down first.
And
any
one question here. They're asking, how many grills do you have in your backyard?
Can you see them all? I have 14 grills in my backyard.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of down the side of my house over here. I'm fortunate, working for such an incredible company, the best grill company in the world. We produce just great grills, different, electric, gas, charcoal. Pellets. I mean, we kind of run the gamut, but I like collecting them too. So, I mean, I do have 14 on my patio, but there's about another 50 to 45 of them laying around the house somewhere.
Oh my gosh. I thought I had a lot. I've got 3. And I was like, that's a lot. 14 plus 50, give or take. I think you take the cake.
I have a very understanding wife. There's collections across the country, there's some guys, it's one of those things, Weber started in 1952, and in our grills, you'll still find grills from that era, floating around out there in the wild that have held up over the years. And, it attests to the quality of the product.
Definitely.
So I got about 3 minutes, I'll wait, and we're going to wait the 3 minutes to flip it. I want to kind of show everybody what the skin looks like. How many folks we have out there cooking? Anybody open their lid yet?
I mean, I know I'm dying to peek, but yeah, let's see how many viewers at home are cooking. You can say in the comments, or Jess can unmute you for a second. We got options.
We have a participant that's outside enjoying the weather with you guys.
Ooh, it is nice. Thank you for enjoying me outdoors. I'm going to have a wicked tan line because of this, but it's all for a good cause.
Yeah.
I'm in the shade right now, which is nice. I thought I was going to get beat down with the sun today, but that's not the case. So that's a good thing. So
There you go.
we got about 2.5 minutes. You want to touch real quick on the VOSS Water Grill Sweepstakes?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got VOSS Water is kind enough to be we're all working with Weber, which is honestly awesome. But they are giving away a Spirit 2 Weber grill. So in case you need more grills, that's one way to do it. So Jess will put the rules and regulations in the chat, but all you got to do is take a picture of us, your food, VOSS, and tag us on social media. Let us know that you want to grill. That way you can cook more of these, more Cornish hens. And what else we got? We got pork coming up and burgers.
Blue cheese crusted pork.
Yeah.
And I know you got, some burgers. Yep.
I'm excited about that one. So we're doing the pork on Monday. So tune in for that. And we've got burgers, plant-based, normal. We got options. So I'm definitely excited about those too. So
we've had some great weather so far, in the last couple of weeks to be able to get outside, enjoy some of these products. For me too, working with, you guys has been a joy. Before I kind of started looking at Cornish game hens, I was like, what are they? I didn't know a lot about them, and, learning about them and educate myself. They're just incredible to cook. I mean, the meat is it's going to be awesome. The flavors, but it's one of those things. If you don't get out and try new stuff, you don't know what you like. And that's something I try to tell my kids, because a lot of times we'll be like, oh, we're having, X for dinner or whatever we're going to have. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. And I kind of look at them and I'm like, well, you never tried it. So, you don't know what do and don't like until you get out, try stuff, try different flavors and things.
exactly. As a reformed picky eater, I can attest to that. Mac and cheese and chicken nuggets were like my go-to, and now we've upgraded to fancier chicken.
Hey, you know what? It's good. It's good that you branched out. There's too many people that have blinders on that just aren't looking out, saying, well, I like this and I'm going to stay with that. You got to try new stuff.
Exactly. How's our timer doing?
I'm at 14 seconds. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to take a peek. Judging by the one that I cooked a little bit earlier, I think that we're probably going to go another 3 to 4 minutes, but I'm still going to look anyways because I just want to. And we're actually not. So I'm going to close my grill cook so I don't lose too much of my heat. But you can see this is what I'm looking at. This is our caramelization. You got a nice grill mark running across it. The skin is a little bit crispy. So I'm going to take this now once I flip it, and I'm going to move it indirect. And that's on our side of the grill that has our burners turned off. So we started direct. We went our 10 minutes. We flipped it now. We're indirect. I'm going to check our gas or our charcoal grill.
There we go.
We have some beautiful caramelization with this one as well. I don't know if you can see that at all. But this one I'm going to flip over. I'm going to go direct for a little bit longer. So at this, I'm going to set our timer for another 8 minutes. And we'll check it again. I don't know if we'll get to it. So here's the ones that I cooked earlier. I don't know if you can kind of see them. But we have a nice grill mark, nice caramelization. You can kind of see the color from the teriyaki. Same thing with our whole. So with chicken, we know the doneness is we want to cook it to at least 165 degrees. Whether you want to cook it to 165 and then glaze it, or you want to cook it a little bit less and then glaze it. What I can tell you from testing, and we've cooked a lot of chicken over the years, the higher you cook something, the less of a carryover it's going to have. So, and that's what I was going to talk about is once we cook it, you take it off, you typically let it rest for about 5 minutes, depending on what it is. During that rest and during that 5 minutes, the carryover cooking, meaning the heat, the residual heat that's still in the meat, it's going to continue to rise. So if I cook these to 165, it's probably going to rise to 168, 169, maybe 170. If I cook them to like 162, they're going to rise to about 166. As long as we hit that 165 degree threshold, they're considered safe to eat by say a USDA standard. So, and if you want to take them more, that's your prerogative too. Some people like to cook chicken a little bit more. They want to make sure it's done. go ahead and do it. You know, that's the beautiful part about having, you know, a great brine or marinade and glaze at the end of it, is that we're still going to have that flavor to put back in. So what I would do with these then is right at the very end, I take them, I brush them with a little bit more sauce, kind of let it sit on there for another minute or so, and then I take them off. So
There you go.
So then you get to the question and people say, well, how am I supposed to cut this? And, you know, it's, so, you know, it really ultimately depends on how you want to serve it. You know, we know that we have the two breasts right here. Here's our leg and our thigh, our wings up top. If I cut it down the middle, that would be a half of a Cornish hen. You know, for me, I'd probably eat the whole thing by myself. You know, I don't know if I would even share it with anybody. I just get your own. So, but for me, as I just take our knife and make sure, you know, if you're going to cut anything with a bone in it, you want to make sure that you're using a knife that is a hard metal. If you use like a soft steel knife, I don't know if anybody has any at home, but like a Japanese style knife that's like with a white or a blue carbon steel, you don't want to use that for anything that has a bone in it, because what happens is the knife is so brittle that it'll crack. So I'm using a nice hard steel knife to where I'm going to be able to get through any of that kind of stuff. And then you just hear a nice, that's what I have. So I cut it in half. Now we have our thigh and our leg on the bottom. We have our breast and the wing on top. If I want to separate those again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right in between. I don't know if you guys can see it. Right in between, right here is a natural separation between, say, our dark meat and our white meat. And we're going to take that. So now we're into quarters. If you guys can see that all right. And then we'll break it down one more time and we'll go into eighths. So if you ever see a chicken, like in, you know, sometimes in commercially sold, you'll see it like as an 8-way. And what that is you're getting all 8 pieces of the chicken. Okay. So here's our white in quarters, wing, breast. Here's our dark meat in quarters. We have our thigh and our leg. And then we're still in a half on this one. So I do something kind of similar with our whole chicken. You know, it's the same thing. This is our breastbone right here. This is the sternum of the chicken. Drawing a mind blank. First thing I want to do is I want to cut the rope and get that off of there. So if I take our knife and I go right onto that halfway point between the two breasts of the chicken, like right on that sternum, I want to make sure that I use the knife and I want to rock it. I want to make sure that I'm using a rocking motion to allow the blade of the knife to really cut through. If you're pushing, what happens is you smash and you tear. Nice sharp knife, you rock and you kind of let the blade of that knife just go through. And you open it up. So now I have it open. You can kind of see the moisture still being held in this one. So the one thing I did forget about, and I'm going to jump back to, and I hope everybody at home will do this. When you're resting your chicken, you take it out of the grill. You got 5 minutes for these Cornish hens. I like to take a piece of aluminum foil, and in this case, we're using our Reynolds Wrap grilling foil. You know, they've been around since 1947, and this is just an incredible, versatile product. You know, it withstands high heat and then extreme cold. But for this case, what we're going to do is we're going to tent. We're going to help try to hold in some of that residual heat from these Cornish hens. So what I would do is I would take it and I would kind of loosely tent it. I don't want to totally enclose it. And when I say totally enclose it, you want to seal it. You don't want to seal it, because what happens then is you're sealing in any of that heat that's in there, and your food's going to cook a lot more than what you want. For these Cornish hens, it could be 10 degrees. If you're cooking steaks, it could be a whole temperature, like meaning you could take your steak from a medium rare to a medium, and then it would be overcooked. So we want to go with that loose tent. And, you know, this Reynolds Wrap grilling foil is, you know, some of the best that you can get. So I don't know how I forgot about that, but definitely an important step that we want to talk about.
Exactly.
So-
See, we can do it again when they're done, because we got another 8 minutes on this after this.
I'm about 1.5 of that 8 minutes that we had left. So we'll definitely,
There you
we'll
go.
get to the part, and we'll temp them here. So,
There you go.
so what I have with these is, like I said, we cut it right down that middle to cut it open. How I took the scissors and I cut that out with the scissors, the backbone for spatchcocking. I'm going to use a knife to do that this time. And we're going to take this piece out and gone. And then we're back to that same point we were at when we broke down that spatchcock. We have 2 halves of it. Now, if you want to pick it up, eat this way, I mean, by all means, go ahead. They're going to be incredible any way you want to do it. So unless you have kids like me that love the little pieces, they're like perfect for their little hands, halves ain't bad either. So.
There you go.
So we have 30 seconds on these, and cooking these to temperature we talked about at 165 degrees. The next important part of it, we have, I have a couple different thermometers here. This one's an instant read, a little bit longer of a thermometer probe, has the reading in the top. I have another one. These are both Weber thermometers, same thing, an instant read. Whatever thermometer you use, you just want to make sure that you're putting it in the meat into the right place. With chicken, you want to be 165 in the deepest part of the breast, off of the bone. And when I say off the bone, you want to make sure that the end of your probe isn't touching the bone, because what happens is you get a false reading, because bone actually helps conduct heat, and it'll give you that false reading where it'll actually tell you it's higher than it really is. So our timer went off. I'm going to take our thermometer. I'm going to put it. Now we're climbing. I'm at about 152 degrees.
Wait, which part do you put it in? The thickest part?
The thickest part of the breast of the white meat.
There we go. Thank you.
Perfect. So, and some people say they like to cook their dark meat higher than their white meat. And I'm kind of the same way. Dark meat has a lot more fat in it, where you can take your thighs and your legs up to about 180 degrees and they're still going to be moist and have flavor. You take your white meat, your chicken breast, and your wings, and you take that to 180, and it's going to be just really dry, mushy, and it's not going to be what you're really looking for. So I said we're at 152. Typically, in my experiences, if I want to get to 165, if I'm looking at those 13 degrees, I figure it's about a minute and a half for every 10 degrees. To be safe, I'm going to set our timer for 2 more minutes. And I always talk about it. Just always set your timers. They help you so much. You're not going to overcook your food that way. So now we have this full. This one's going to take a little bit longer. I might not actually be able to finish this one. So we're at about 115 degrees on our whole chicken. So now you can kind of see the difference between the spatchcock and the whole Cornish game hen. We have about 40-degree difference. Neither way is wrong. It just depends on which way you want to cook. Spatchcocking is incredible for saving you a little bit of time. Helps with caramelization, spreading it out. Or your whole is just, the same thing. It's just a little bit different. Now it's going to slow roast. And it's going to take probably about another 10 to 15 minutes to cook those 40 degrees because we don't have any direct heat.
Gotcha. And then does the, whether it's full or the spatchcock, does that affect how the moisture is in the chicken? Like, is it more dry for cooking it longer?
Ultimately, no, because it's the temperature that you're going to cook the meat to. So either way, if you're cooking your meat to 165, this one, the skin might be a little bit more, crispy because there's more of it exposed to the grate itself to where you're getting the caramelization. Whereas with like our whole chicken, we're not getting all the way around it. We're getting like the top and the bottom before we move it indirect. So, the doneness ultimately is what temperature we take the meat itself to.
Gotcha. Fun fact. There you go.
Hey, any way we can help people and get them more confident behind the grill and out there cooking, we're always here to help.
Yeah, I mean, I feel more confident already. This is my 3rd time grilling, and it's not bad.
Are you going to show us your Cornish game hen?
I'm going to show you the nice one. The other one did not do as well. Yeah, my first one turned out so great, and then I just turned these ones. I'm going to show you guys this one. Those don't count. I'm going to eat these, though. I'm very excited about that. I'm going to eat all of them. All right.
We're creeping. We're close. I think if we were
Yeah.
direct, we'd be done. We're at about 159. We'll go 2 more minutes. If I can get this to 162, we'll take it off. We'll tent it. And actually, we got to glaze it. So we got to take some of our Kikkoman teriyaki, throw it back on there, add a little bit extra layer of flavor at the very end. And, you know, that'll kind of call it a day.
There you go.
So, yeah, then if you want to flavor it up to that, make sure you add your Tabasco sauce because, you know, I'm a spicy eating person. For me, I just love to add that extra layer of flavor.
Exactly. Yeah, and with so many different flavors, what's not to love? Especially with Kikkoman. I think I'm using the pineapple, honey and pineapple one.
That one's incredible. I mean, both naturally brewed soy sauce base, but with that honey, it adds that extra, you know, layer of sweetness, you know, to add to it. You know, that one's got a little bit of wine in it as well. It looks like some Asian seasonings. I'm sure that's just got to be incredible.
Oh, it's great. I love this one. I'm definitely a sweet person, but I put a little Tabasco in the first marinade. So then the second one I'll do a little brush with just the Kikkoman.
Well, the more flavors you can add to something, it just adds more like layers of flavor that, you know, are ultimately just gonna, you know, come through in your food. You stay with one thing and it just kind of it's not dynamic. It's just one flavor. It doesn't have a lot to it. It's simple. You know, I like to add a bunch of stuff, you know, to add, you know, there's always great bases, and then how you know, fix them up is, you know, that makes each person's recipe their own. So I got like 20 seconds here. I think we're probably going to be good. We'll brush this and let it do its. There we go. We're at like 164, so it's perfect. So got our brush. There's our timer. And then once you brush this on here, you just want to kind of let it sit. We're going to close the grill. We're going to let that heat, that residual heat and the convection heat from the grill just kind of, you know, help thicken this up. Let it adhere to the meat. And then we'll take it off. I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes on these, and then it's, you know, it's done. So bon appetit at that point. Anybody have any other questions out there?
Let's see. So they're asking where they can get more information, more tips about cooking and grilling with the Weber Grills.
And what a great thing that we have a whole series dedicated to that. So
Absolutely.
Join us for our events. We've got one tomorrow, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So join us for all of them.
That's a lot of events.
Yes, yeah, we're really jam-packing it in. But and then also I'm sure Devin or Dustin's got other stuff going on too. What you got?
Well, you know, anytime if anybody's ever looking for advice or looking for notes on, you know, grilling or recipes and that kind of stuff, Weber.com has everything you need from, you know, basics of, you know, grill guides that's got times, temperatures, different cuts of meat. We have a lot of different recipes in there. You know, take what we have, make it exactly how it is, add some stuff to it, make it your own. You know, but there's information about grill setups, you know, you know, anything you're really looking for grilling, Weber.com has, you know, at your fingertips.
We have another question. Would the Cornish hens cook okay on a Weber rotisserie, cooking several at a time?
You know, I haven't tried that, but I would imagine you could. There's two things that come to mind to me when I think about a Cornish game hen on a rotisserie, you know, on the kettle. One of them with the size of them, and I haven't tried it, but I don't know, you know, you'd be able to do it, but to get the tines into the tines, which are the forks, to get them into the hen to make sure that it just doesn't spin like freely on your rotisserie. If I was to do that, I would probably make sure that I was cooking it about at 450 degrees because I want to get a little bit higher heat to let that outside, skin and fat of the Cornish hens really start to break down, caramelize, and get that beautiful color that we'd be looking for. But those are two thoughts. But absolutely, a rotisserie, it's self-basting with that the fat of the meat. It would be incredible. Okay, so our timer went off. We glaze this. I'm going to take our foil. I'm going to tent it. Now, I set the timer for 5 minutes. I don't know if I have the patience to wait 5 minutes because it looks so good. So, I mean, these turned out incredible. I could take another temp on our whole birds just to check them to kind of see. But I would guess that this has probably got about 15 more minutes. Yeah, we're at about 130 degrees. So we climbed up about 15 degrees or so in the time that we're letting these sit. So it's about patience, cook them either way.
We definitely are very hungry watching you guys grill, and I'm noticing a lot of flavors of VOSS water on your table, Dustin.
I have a couple. I've been licking my chops all day. I mean, lime mint, strawberry ginger, raspberry rose, lemon cucumber, and then a tangerine lemongrass. I mean, to be able to run a gamut like that with those different flavors, they're incredible, And then if
You
you
could
just take
technically do like a VOSS pairing. You could do a VOSS pairing instead of like a wine pairing. You just do all the VOSS flavors.
You absolutely could. Absolutely could. So we can wait the 3.5 minutes if you want. Otherwise, we can take a look at this and I can just show you that's what it would be.
There you go. Yeah, I'll show you mine. Here. This is my good one. But hey, they're a work in progress. My bad ones aren't as pretty. So do our viewers want to show any finished product? Is anyone finished out there?
I think I lost my camera.
Oh, we love technical difficulties. Jess, has anyone out there got some finished products for us?
They do not, but I did see a couple people mention that they will try this out once they clean out their grills.
Yeah, well, it's summertime. It's the perfect time to start grilling, and especially with this Chop and Chop series. We've got plenty of stuff to put on the grill. So if you're looking for ideas, guess what? We got them.
And then if they're looking to join some of the other sessions, is it right back to Eventbrite to register?
Exactly. Yep. Right back to Eventbrite or chopandshop@jewel.com. You got options. And the recipe for tonight is on chopandshop@jewel.com. So you should try that out. And that's like an @ spelled out, not like @ the symbol. It's not an email.
Actually, we have John. John, we're gonna go ahead and unmute you. He actually is grilling with us, and his looks so good. Let's see if
Yay!
mute him.
Awesome. Well, thanks for cooking with us, John. I'm very excited to see what you got
There we
going
go.
on.
Worked out well.
Oh.
Looking forward to it.
That looks so good.
It looks great.
Thanks.
Wow. Thanks for cooking with us. Man,
Yeah.
his turned out way
Love
better
it.
than mine.
It just means you got to practice more.
Exactly. More grilling. That's what this whole series is about. Me learning how to grill. So third time's a charm.
That's awesome. Cool.
Awesome.
Any other
Great.
last questions we have out there?
Shout them out, guys. Put them in the chat room. Shout out those
There you go.
questions. A lot of people are complimenting the flavors that you mentioned of VOSS water, so that is perfect.
There you go. Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I've been drinking mine. It's really good, and they've got those fruit infusers that we were talking about earlier, so you can customize. It's great. And then yeah, but make sure to enter the VOSS giveaway for the Spirit Grill, Spirit 2 Grill. Gotta specify. So take some pics. You can even take pictures of the event. You can be like, hey, I attended. It was great. Tag us. Tag Jewel. Tag VOSS World. Tag Weber. And then you're entered to go. You're ready to go, and you can win a whole grill. So do that.
What about the Tabasco?
Tabasco. We did that earlier. So just who are our 4 winners?
Our winners were, the first 2 winners were, here we go, Mary Lee, and we also had Lou, Eugene. You guys have all been contacted on the chat room, and we got your email addresses or shipping addresses. So thank you guys so much for participating with that giveaway.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys. Yeah, you get this whole set. So there you go. And we'll be doing giveaways at our other Chop and Shop events. So if you join in, you've got more chances to win. So just further enticing you to join us.
Awesome.
We have another
Cool.
question. Did you score the Cornish hen before grilling it?
I did not score the Cornish hen before grilling it. And I typically, unless it's duck, which has just an extremely fatty skin to it, with chicken and Cornish game hens, I typically don't score them because it's thin enough to where, you know, if cooked on the right temperature on the grill, you're gonna crisp it, and you don't really need to score it to help render any of that fat. So really, only with duck would I ever score.
Good to know. And is scoring where it's like you cut the top of it and it cubes?
Yeah, you can do that. It's almost like you're taking the skin and you're cutting it to open it up the surface area to help render some of that fat, but also to kind of like thin it out to make it so that more of it's exposed to be able to hit the heat. So
Gotcha.
yeah, people do it with pork shoulders. They'll do it with duck. You know, it's a personal thing on how to do it or, you know, when to do it. But, you know, those are typical some meats that you would do it with.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Dustin, for showing us how to make this. I am drooling. I really need to eat this now. So I'm about to sign off. Any last thoughts, questions, concerns, more contests?
I just want to thank
Awesome.
everybody for joining us. And, you know, these are some great products that we worked with today. The Cornish game hens by Tyson, you know, the Reynolds Wrap foil, our Kikkoman teriyaki, the Tabasco sauces that we used. And then, of course, you know, pairing them, and refreshing to have our friends from VOSS. So, you know, thanks to everybody that joined. It was great to be with you.
Awesome. Well, hope everyone has a great night and enjoys their food. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.